Thank you so much once again. Thank you for taking the time.
Yes. Happy to be here.
Hap- thank you so much. God, I don't even know where to begin. This is my last season of my podcast, and I really
Woo.
wanted you to be a part of it for a few reasons. You were a part of it a couple years ago, and I've always been very open about like how much you mean to me. Every time people ask me about my favorite teachers in the past, teachers that had left an impact on me, I always say you, um, because it was, I don't know. I remember being 17 and just being so shy and scared as a kid, and I didn't have a lot of teachers that I could like, I don't know, look up to, and you were one of them. So, thank you for being like a light in my life as a kid.
Of
Thank you.
course. Yeah, that means a lot to me, especially because I haven't really been teaching in a couple years, so it's really fun to watch like students that I had in the past start their grown-up lives and like start to, get settled down, go to college, get married. Even a few of them are starting to have kids, which is just crazy. And it's fun to see you guys and kind of think back on older days and when I was in the classroom, and so it's really fun to be here, and I love talking to older students, so to see how their lives are turning out.
Yes. And I still have the letter that you wrote me when I graduated. I read it daily. I read it all the time because you were a big, how do I say it? You're a big spark for me. I looked up to you because you also love to sing, and you made that very well known how much you love to sing and how
Hmm.
much music means to you. And
Hmm.
it did to me as well. And you were a big supporter of mine when I was learning how to sing and trying to do things on my own. And I'm a music major now, and it's taken a few years to actually put my foot um, in the door and just say kind of that I really wanted to do it. So I've been a music major. I graduate next year in 2026,
That is
and
awesome.
it's been super fun. And I've always written songs since I was a kid, and
Mhm.
now I actually get to write melody and lyrics and work with like musicians, and we get to make music to my lyrics, which is really fun. And I get to be a part of choir, and before I didn't know what singing on key was. I didn't know what singing on pitch was, and now I've learned how to do all that, and it's super fun. And I love to sing. And I don't know, you've been an inspiration to me on that journey. So thank you again.
Oh, that makes me feel so good. No, I was, when I was working at North Monterey County, there wasn't really a music program. I mean, there was band, which was awesome, but there
Yes.
was no music program. And I felt it was super lacking. I feel like I think I said this before, if I had stayed, I would have started something there. I didn't stay longer than 3 years, but I was hoping that in the time I was there, it would help some kids to like get out of their shell and realize, hey, we need a choir, we need like a
Yeah.
music program here at North Monterey County, because I wanted kids to grow up and realize that they can be in music and they can major in music and find a living that way. And so I think that's awesome that you chose to go that route. And congrats for having 1 year left. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yes. And
Mhm.
I started a scholarship actually for North Monterey County. This will be the third year, and it's an art scholarship for that very reason. I know there's many kids just like me that maybe love the arts so much, but maybe just not have the right opportunities to showcase what they can do or talk about what they can do. So that
Mhm.
scholarship is for them. Last year, I was able to pick three winners, um, and it's either for drawing and painting, or photography, or singing and choir,
Mhm.
just so kids can be proud of it and to be proud
Mhm.
to write about it. And also my scholarship, it's like n I don't need letters of recommendation. I don't really care about GPA. It's more about I want to feel your heart through your response about
Mhm.
how much this art means to you. So that's been
Mhm.
my way of like giving back. I'm like, I was so lost as a kid, and I wanted to sing so bad. I just didn't have the
Mhm.
opportunities. I fought so hard
Mhm.
just to sing at my own graduation, and
Mhm.
I didn't have the opportunities to do so. So if I can help these kids, so yeah, year three. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm like, that's just an amazing thing to start at that school. So I'm sure those kids are super appreciative of that little scholarship. I'm sure it's amazing for them because I doubt they've had that before.
Yes.
That's just truly wonderful.
Thank you. And today in your life, how does music play a role in your life? Do you still sing when you can? Is there any kind of music around you today?
Yeah, so actually it's funny we should kind of talk about that. I got back into it about 3 months ago, 4 months ago. I'd taken a really long hiatus from it. I hadn't sang since college, which was for me like 10 years now. Other than, in classrooms here and there, just to as like my party trick. And so I actually have a friend in my neighborhood who is a conductor of a very small, or director, I guess, of a very small church choir. It's a Methodist church. And he said, "Hey, do you want to come out and sing with us for the holiday?" And I said, "Yeah, I would love to, because I would love to get back into it. I have two small kids, and I feel like they were kind of my life for the first, like, 5 years, obviously. And um, which was, wonderful, but it was time to give myself a little bit of fun and just something that I truly enjoyed doing. So I said, yeah, no problem. I'll come out and sing with you guys. And I had so much fun that I just stayed. And so now I am singing. They have a little church choir that I sing in every week. They have a band that sing and does their thing at the church every week. And then they've done couple of hymn festivals I've been a part of and worked with a few fairly well-known artists. They're not a big choir, it's a pretty small choir, but it's just fun. Every week I go and I told the director, I have so much fun just singing with you guys. And I
Mm.
haven't done this in so long. It's wonderful to do something that's just my own and just for me, without thinking of, like, trying to provide for my family or doing things with my family at that point, because this is mine, this is something that I love to do for no other purpose than it's just delightful and fun for myself. So I have gotten back into singing and it's been wonderful. It brings up a lot of good things, and my vocal cords are starting to like remember how to sing again, which is great. Because
Wow.
after a while of not singing, you kind of lose it. Because it's a
Yeah.
muscle. Your vocal cords are muscle. So if you don't sing, it's like not working out. You lose that body definition. You lose the ability to sing higher notes. So it's been a lot of fun actually, and I'm still doing it. And a couple times a week I go in and sing, and it's just wonderful. A lot of hymns, a lot of classical music, which is right up my alley because it's something I just love to do, is singing in choirs. And as an adult, you don't really get that opportunity as much, because in college you get to do it, in high school you get to do it, but in real life outside of that, there's not as many opportunities, except for maybe in the church. And San Diego apparently has a couple of amazing church choirs, which I didn't know. So
Oh,
hopefully I'll be able to keep doing this church choir. And then there's another group called I think it's called Sacra Profana that performs in San Diego, and hopefully I'll get to try out for them, and that's an actual like paid choir.
nice.
So my goal is to get into that hopefully in June. We'll see. But it'd be an amazing way to just keep expanding singing here in San Diego. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Do your kids get to watch you sing too in the choir?
They do, yes. Like they said, they're still little. One of them's 5, one of them's 3. The 5-year-old like understands I'm up there and can, see me sing and sometimes wear robes. They think that's pretty funny. Um, I don't know if my son really understands what I'm doing up there, but he definitely sees me. He loves music, and he actually enjoys singing at 3 years old, which is awesome. So I think he'll be my little musical prodigy. But they see me. They like me, see me up on stage. And I've done a couple solos for the choirs, which is always fun. And so
Yeah.
they can kind of see mommy doing her own thing, and it's just a lot of fun. And I love that everyone in the choir is a little older. I think the most people are like between 60 and 80 years old. But they have a lot of experience, and they're super fun, and they're super nice. And that's what you kind of want. You just want to make music with amazing people. And that's what we're doing. So I've enjoyed it tremendously.
Yeah. It's a cool thing to show your kids that their
Hmm.
mom can go out and do fun things too. And just to see you on that stage and singing and doing what you love is a really cool thing. Did you start off doing the alto parts first, or did you just start with soprano again?
So I I'm called what's called a mezzo soprano, so that's like in between a soprano and alto,
Got it.
which means I can sing low and I can sing high, but I'm kind of like in the middle. So I started out as alto because that's what they needed. And I'm still considered an alto in their choir, but I'm technically a mezzo, like I can sing high notes. But it's kind of whatever they need me for. If they need me to sing, soprano 2, I'll sing soprano 2, but if they need like an alto 1, I'll sing an alto 1. But I sang soprano for so long when my voice kind of changed. Didn't go down as far as I thought. I can still sing fairly high. So I'm like mid. I'm gonna say I'm a mid singer.
Yes. And I know you're a big musical theater fan.
Hmm.
Any Broadway or musical theater that you're listening to right now, or some shows that you always love?
Well, obviously Wicked. I feel like everyone's listening to Wicked right now. My kids actually love that movie, which is saying something.
How many
'Cause it's the
times have you
first
seen it?
movie. So many. Oh God, so many. It's the first movie they've seen that has not been animated that they like. And so we're
Um,
like, that's all we've been watching. My daughter and I actually went to go see it last Saturday. It came down to San Diego on the theater
nice.
in the
Mm,
stage. And she really enjoyed that. I went to go see it with my husband too. So I've seen that thing so many times.
nice.
It's always been a favorite of mine though. Even in high school, I remember we did a Wicked medley for my senior year. And that was super special to me. Like the For Good song gets me every time because I have
Mm,
some very dear friends from high school that I remember singing with, and it just brings back good memories. So that whole musical kind of plays a nice special part of my life, you know? So for it to come back and to like be popular again, it's just wonderful. I listened to that on repeat. What else are we listening to right now? Um, I'm trying to get into some new musicals, but I haven't had a chance to really like research any of them. We still listen to Dear Evan Hansen. My daughter loves a few of those songs from that. It's like such a good musical.
yeah.
Those are probably our top two right now. And then we went to go see Beetlejuice last season, and that was pretty good. I enjoyed that music as well, which I know it's a newer musical, but it's still pretty funny. It has a lot of comedy aspects to it. Yeah, I would say those three are probably the last ones I've listened to so far.
Yes. Just like me. Yeah. I've seen Dear Evan Hansen in San Francisco. I loved it.
hmm
It's probably my favorite just because of the story. Like I remember seeing
hmm
myself in Evan Hansen and
hmm
every single song being so significant, so meaningful, and really just going straight to your soul.
hmm
And I loved Wicked since I was a kid too. Every single song was so incredible. Um, and I missed them in San Francisco. I just missed the dates, and I saw that they're in San
mm
Diego too. And I'm like, oh, one day I'll go see it. Um,
You should.
but I'm wondering, are there any songs that you prefer from the Broadway version or to the movie version? Because I think I'm Not That Girl. I prefer Cynthia Erivo's version. I really love how she did I'm Not That Girl.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's like Defying Gravity. You just can't top the original. But I love The Wizard and I, Cynthia's version.
hmm
Any opinions?
I think they all have merit. Actually, it's funny because the I'm Not That Girl for me, and this is totally like my own opinion, it
Hmm.
ran a little slow for me with Cynthia. I liked her and I liked her rendition, but I wish they would have picked up the pace a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I like even turned to my husband, I said, they're taking this really slow. And I like it a little bit faster. So for me, I actually prefer Not That Girl on the stage. But I would say like Defying Gravity, it's right up there because they did such an amazing job. I actually liked Popular better in the movie. I think she did an amazing job and her comedy in it was spot on. Um, and then what was the other one? Wizard and I think honestly, I love them both. I think that in the movie, The Wizard and I, obviously there's more emotion attached to it because you can really see their face. You know, you're right close up in their face. And I just love what they did it's very specific. In The Wizard and I, when she's singing and like the kaleidoscope lights turn her skin back to its normal color, I thought that was
Yeah.
brilliant of the director. Oh my God, that moment, I'm like, they are amazing. Whoever made this is a genius because who would have ever thought of that, you know? I would say those are probably my top in that one. My daughter really likes the intro though. The first No One Mourns the Wicked. That's like her favorite song for some reason. Um, but yeah, I mean, gosh, they really it was surprising how true they kept it to the actual storyline. I always thought they were going to go off in another direction or maybe like a different type of tangent in the movie, but
Yeah.
they kept it really true to the stage, which I was very appreciative of because everyone loves the musical. And if they had gone too far, they would have gotten people that would have been very angry about that. Because there's major diehard fans of Wicked out there, and I think they would have lost people if they hadn't done what they did. So thank God they stayed very true to the line. And oh God, Jonathan Bailey is wonderful. I loved his rendition of that what's the song?
Dancing Through Life.
Dance in Your Life. Thank you. I just thought he did brilliant because usually I don't really care too much about Fiyero. He's good, but he's not my favorite part. But he did it amazing with him and the chemistry between the two characters was just phenomenal. But he's an amazing actor anyway, so I feel like that also helps. But the movie was just they did just an amazing, wonderful job. I can't say anything better about the movie. I'm a little cautious to show my kids the second one because I know it's going to be a little more dark than
Yes.
the first one. I think parents should probably watch the second movie on their own before they see it, show it to their kids if
Okay.
I kind of think about how it's going to go. especially young kids. You know, like 3 and 5 is very young, obviously.
Right.
So I'll probably watch it once to make sure it's gonna be, it's gonna work
Mhm.
and be okay, and then show it to my kids after that. But I think the first movie definitely is more upbeat, which is why they love it so much.
Have you shown them Wizard of Oz?
I have not yet. I don't think they would sit through it, honestly, because it's such an old movie.
Got it.
Because they consider the movies that I was a kid for, they consider those old, which is understandable. So I think that showing them anything earlier than that, I don't think they would like it. I probably should, but they might shut off because it's a little too old for them.
Got it. Yeah, because I was thinking that if they watch part two, they can make some of those connections too. It is really dark, but they'd be able
Hmm.
to make those connections how they intersect.
I probably should show them the movie before the part two comes out. But at least my daughter's 5, she could probably handle it, but my
Yes.
son maybe not so much.
I'm going to New York next month, the first
Mm,
week of April, for spring break. And as of now, I'm gonna watch two Broadway shows. So, and they're one of them is brand new. It's Redwood, Idina Menzel.
okay.
She wrote it and she's starring in it, and I've always been a big fan of her since I was a kid. So as of
Mm,
now, I'm gonna watch that. And then the last 5 years, it's Nick Jonas and
mm,
another actress. But I know there was a movie a couple years ago of the last 5 years.
hmm.
So
That
those
one
are the
I've
yeah,
yeah, I haven't seen the movie, but I remember people talking about that one.
those are the two as of now. But I've seen Waitress in New York as well.
Hmm. Oh, that one's good
Um,
too.
and I've seen Hamilton and Dear Evan Hansen.
Mm.
So Wicked is the only one I have to see in person.
You
But
need to see that one.
that's a show that'll always be played. So I'm one day
Hmm.
eventually everything will go.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so those are the Broadway ones that I'm gonna watch.
Nice.
Let's talk about your kids.
Hmm.
You said 5 and 3, right?
Yes.
Time just flies. I remember when you posted your first pregnancy announcement, and it was your daughter. And I'm
Hmm.
just like, I don't know where the time went. I don't know how that happened. Now you have two little ones just running around. You're going to Disneyland with them. They go to
Yeah.
school.
Hmm.
Talk to me about motherhood, how it's been for you, and having two kids now.
Well, I would say the first for any like future or current mothers out there, the first 5 years are going to be crazy. I feel like after having both my kids, just now are things starting to get a little bit more back on track in terms of how I feel. I'm finally starting to like care about myself more than I was before. Starting to eat better, work out, go back to like kind of life before kids in terms of how I feel about myself. Because up until now, it was all about them, which is great. And that's what it should be. And I love my kids. I love doing things for them, but I also like myself. And I also want to give time to myself. So I feel like I'm finally starting to get back. So if you're like in the throes of having, two newborns or one newborn and you just had a kid or like they're 2 years old, you're not out of the trenches yet because it's not easy to have kids, especially, anything beyond one gets a little tricky.
Mm,
But I love my kids. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't trade it for anything. The fact that I could, quit my job and just be basically a stay-at-home mom for a couple years has been amazing. My son's not quite in school. He's still in preschool, so he's still with me half the time, which has actually been great because I can spend extra time with him. My daughter is full-time in school, and that definitely frees up some time too. But it's definitely a lot harder being a mom than you think it's going to going into it. Now it's kind of like a distant past because it's been so long since we had a newborn. But that whole postpartum phase is very difficult, and no
mm,
one ever really talks about it, but it changes you, and goods and bads. But it definitely changes you as a person, and it helps you realize how much you actually can take on. You think you can't do it one day and you're like, I just want to give up. I just can't do this. Like, I need help. I need something. And the next day you just trudge on and you find a way to make it work. It's an amazing experience, but it's probably the most difficult experience I've ever had in my life. Probably the most trying thing I've ever done in my life. And it's something that you constantly are making mistakes with. No one's ever a perfect parent. You always think your parents are like, not perfect, but amazing, best they're going to be. Really, we're just out here trying to figure things out, trying to do the best that we can and be the best parent we can, especially in the growing times with technology and just everything kind of the political unrest that so much is going on around us are a lot of unknowns for everyone right now.
right.
It's hard to like navigate all of that with your own life as well as like think about your kids' future and what's going to happen with them. So it's definitely a difficult thing, but it's also the most rewarding thing you're ever gonna do in your life. So you obviously want to make sure you're ready for kids when you're ready
Yeah.
to have them, whoever is out there thinking about it. But definitely the most rewarding thing ever.
Yes. Do you mind explaining to me what postpartum is? Because I've heard it
Hmm.
quite a bit and I had to look into it. Because you're right, no one really talks about it. And I saw some women in I think a podcast episode, they were saying that no one prepared them for that and
Hmm.
that it was harder than even like giving birth because of, and some of them were dealing with it for a year, 2 years, for a long time. I
Hmm.
even asked my mom about it, and she's like, "Oh, it wasn't that bad for me, but I know for some women it gets very bad." So, do you mind explaining to me what it is and why we should talk about it more?
Yeah, of course. So postpartum is basically the time after you have your child. So a lot of people hear the term like postpartum depression,
Right.
which is basically, obviously depression that results from being in that postpartum era. Unfortunately, there's no like a specific time range. It's basically when the baby's born, it starts that postpartum age, and then it can go from then to 6 months after the baby's born, or even like 2 years after the baby's born. I read somewhere that you feel these postpartum things. Your hormones don't actually start settling for about 3 years after you have a child. It could go even as far as 5 years to finally feeling like yourself again, which is crazy. The fact that you have a kid and you don't feel like yourself for 5 years.
Um,
That's a long time, but it's basically like the time after you have a baby. And usually it's because your body just feels so strange because you just had this crazy surge of hormones. You just, birthed a child. So your body's obviously going to feel different. And it's just basically kind of settling into that new body because you do kind of have a new body. You have a new range of hormones that you never had before, or less hormones than you had. And for women, that really changes like the way that we eat, the way that we, the way our body looks, the way that we react to things. Like sometimes it's weird, you like develop rashes from things all of a sudden. Like it's like your whole body changes. And that's kind of what postpartum is. And it's dealing with that huge change after knowing yourself for 30, however many years before you have a kid, to all of a sudden having a child and just realizing I am not the same person now. And I feel like that's kind of postpartum, like the complete change of your body and yourself and your self-esteem and how you're feeling. And sometimes that does result in depression, obviously, because it's like your body changes within, the month you have your child. That's a very big change. So
um,
and people do fall to depression to that. And it's very taboo. Like it's not, I feel like it's starting to be talked about now, but definitely a while ago it was not talked about. Um, Obviously, like when, maybe our mothers, they definitely weren't talking about postpartum at all. I feel like it's now starting to be talked about and people are starting to reach out and saying like, "Hey, I need help. I feel like I'm drowning every day and this shouldn't be how it
um,
is. It shouldn't be we're feeling like that." And everyone feels like that when they have a kid at some point, which is sad. Like it's difficult. And it's like I said, it's the most difficult thing you ever do because you kind of feel like you're semi alone, and so it's that period is very difficult. There are obviously resources out there and they
yeah.
do check you to see if you have like postpartum depression after you have a kid. But other than that little like, hey, you're good, you don't have depression, you don't really hear back from your doctor for the next like, 6, 8 months.
Yeah.
So it's, if you know anyone that's having a kid or just had a kid, the best thing you could do is just reach out and like, how can I help you? Like, can I bring you meals? Can I clean your house? Can I other than just sit there and hold the baby, what can I do for you? Because that's really what mothers want. It's like, we want you to come see our babies when they're newborns, but we really want you to come and like cook us a meal or like,
Yeah.
do our laundry for a day. And that would be if everyone kind of pitched in and helped the new moms, that would, I think, would help postpartum a lot.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, who helped you during that time? Your husband, your family, your parents?
My parents, and that's why we actually moved back down, was because I wanted to be closer to family. So we did have my parents. We moved up to this house because right now I'm living up in Fallbrook. We moved to this house. We moved kind of farther away from my parents, so they were closer to like 40 minutes away, which isn't bad. But they
Yeah.
weren't like down the street. So I did a lot of it. Chris did help me out a little bit, but then he started working, obviously, and he works very long hours in construction sometimes. So it was really just me a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I wish I could say I had someone come over and check over on me, but it wasn't the case, unfortunately. We were new to the community. I think if we had known the people that we know now, it would have been different, but we were new. We didn't, all the neighbors we didn't really know as well. But now I would say if I had a baby now, I would have probably the people in my community to help me out. Because now we know like moms and dads that are like right next door to us. At the time, it was kind of just me though. And, I struggled. I didn't have depression, but I definitely struggled with patience. I thought I had patience, and it turns out I don't. Teacher patience and mom patience are totally different. And I thought it would be the same thing, and it's not. So I didn't have, I mean, I had people supporting me, but, not obviously not all the time. You're by yourself a lot of the time. And, so it would have been nice maybe to know more of my neighbors at that point, but you make do and you just kind of like work through it every day by day. And that two under two, I had two kids under 2 years old. That was difficult. I think that was probably the hardest time was that
Um,
like I'm gonna say 6 months to a year when both kids were young, like very young. And that was very difficult. If I had waited, obviously I wouldn't have had my son, but it might have been a little easier. But yeah, having two kids under 2 years old is very difficult. I sympathize with any mama right now. They're out there that's going through that.
yes. Wow. And I know I asked you last time, a couple years ago,
Mm.
if you guys would have a third. Has that changed at all?
No, we're done. I would like to say yes, but we did think about it for a while.
Yeah.
I had always wanted like a big-ish family. But after two, I struggled so much with it that I think that having another wouldn't have been fair to that third one. Plus, we would have had the middle child complex. So,
Mm,
my husband and I decided, I think we're done after this. I think that our family's settled, and I think we're good with two.
yes. And I
Although
think,
my neighbors are all having babies, so I'm gonna get my baby fix through them a little bit later.
oh, and your kids will have some kids to play with in the street and stuff.
Mhm.
That'll be nice. And
Yeah.
your kids will have each other as they get
Mhm.
older, which is beautiful to have.
Yeah, and they're at this point at least they're best friends. I mean, they play together like 90% of the time and they get along probably about 90% of the time. So they're really close to each other, and I'm hoping that that will continue to be that way. And that's part of the other reason we didn't want to have a third is because we didn't want to mess up that relationship between the two of
Got it.
them.
Yes. Do you guys have any pets at all?
Yeah, we do. We used to have four. One of them passed away, so now we have one Saint Bernard and two cats.
Oh my God. Yeah, you have your
So
hands
full
full.
house. Yeah, and we had four animals with two kids, two under two. So that was a very hard year. I would say it was like a good solid 2 years of difficult,
Yeah.
difficult, crazy chaos house.
Yeah. Well, on top of all of that, which I would love to bring up next, is your crochet business, which is
Hmm.
insane. I just want to give you props and like a round of applause. I'm so proud of you because I've been a content creator since I was 17 and I just turned 25, and I know how hard it is um, for you being a full-time mom and you making all of your things right, but also to have content for it on the regular because you're posting all the time, and no one gets to see that behind the scenes of all everything that you have to do in order to have that for to show something to people, you know?
Hmm.
So congratulations. It's been
Thank
really
you.
beautiful to see, and I love watching all of your stuff. I would love to start off with crochet. How long have you known how to do it? How long has it been a passion of yours?
Let's see, not that long. I started, let's see, September of 2023, so about a year and a half ago. I started because I just wanted something to do. Like I said, I just wanted something that was mine at that point because I still had little kids and I was ready to focus on myself. So I decided to do something that would also help my kids and, make them stuffed animals, basically. So I started with an octopus, which I think my son might still have somewhere. It obviously lasted, so that was good. But
Yeah,
it definitely is a mess, but I learned through that pattern. I just pulled videos and lots of videos, and I bought patterns, and I would just like weeks and weeks worth of just trying to make one plushie at a time. And so I started getting the hang of it, and I made so many after a couple months. And I said, what am I going to do with these? I'm like, I might as well just try to sell them. So I made an account on a whim, and I was like, maybe I'll just like invite my friends, and that way they can buy some of these if they would like. And
yeah,
people seemed like they really enjoyed them. So I got a lot of orders from family and friends for the first like 4 months, and then that next year hit, and then I started making more for people that were like outside of my friend group, friends of friends, and then I got a few orders from different parts of the states. I was like, okay, like, I was making at least this last year, I made at least enough money to like break even. So I was like, I feel like as long as I'm not wasting money on this, it's a pastime and I enjoy doing it. The content is no joke, like you said. Like it takes a lot of time, and I actually took a few weeks off because I was starting to get burnt out.
yeah.
Um, just trying to think about like videos I need to make and sit at my desk all the time. Because that was the biggest thing is I also had to work when the kids were asleep because I was a mom. I couldn't work during the day because my kids had different schedules and it just I didn't want to take time from them. So I'd work between like 9 p.m. and midnight. Um, and then do all my content creation in those 3 hours, however I was able to, and then get up
Yeah.
early the next morning and just do the same thing over again. So it's been a lot of fun. Like I said, I did take a little bit of a break in terms of like content. I'm still making stuff, but I'm actually trying to focus more on pattern making, pattern designing, instead of using other people's patterns. I'm trying to make my own. At least in terms of that, I can like, create a pattern and put it out on Etsy and then it's there forever. And I can continue to make revenue without actually having to sit down and make a ton of content or make all the plushies I'm making, which I still will make some, but I think I'd rather spend more time creating my own patterns if possible. So I'm kind of at that point right now. My orders are kind of slowing down right now. January through March is probably the slowest. Well, February and March are probably the slowest months, which is fine. I was prepared for that, so I'm kind of happy. I'm taking a little bit of time off.
Got it. Yeah, I was super happy when you started making them. I've ordered, I think I'm at 4 or 5 by now.
I
I've
think so.
ordered a whale, a hippo, Ed Sheeran, and a
Yep.
Snorlax. Mine are very different. I'm sure you haven't made those for other people.
No, Ed Sheeran was a lot of fun because I had never made, that was the first person I made, the first doll I made, and totally out of my comfort zone, but it turned out really cute. So I'm like, cool, like I can do this.
Yeah. On average, how long does it usually take you to make stuff like that?
It depends. I am a harsh critic of myself, so I tend to redo stuff quite a bit, which I know is terrible for small businesses. I'm trying to get out of that habit. Ordinarily, if I really push to get something done, I can get it done within like 3 to 4 hours, depending on the size of it. But bigger projects, I would say like probably Ed Sheeran is probably more like 5 or 6 hours, just because of like the details. Because a lot of the time goes into the details, like making the hair right, making sure the eyes look okay, embroidering stuff, so like making smiles, making eyes, making cheeks, making all that stuff on the face. It takes a lot of time. So I would say like anywhere between 3 to 6 hours on one plush. Sometimes I don't really have like a specific time I can really work because my obviously I still have my son.
Yeah.
So hypothetically, I'm supposed to work 3 days a week on my stuff, which is very like a part-time job kind of. But if the kids are sick, I don't get that time, so I have to work when I'm able to, basically. But it takes like 3 to 6 hours, I would say.
Yeah. My favorite one, I think I would have to say is the Snorlax. I love the material used. It's very soft and so
Hmm.
squishy. I love it. And you just killed it. I love that Snorlax so much. I put it with all my other ones. I
Good, I'm
also,
glad.
yes, I also want to order another one. Brianna, you know Brianna, her birthday's in
Mhm.
May,
Mm.
and her favorite animal is a platypus. So I'd have to order a
Okay.
platypus from you.
Okay, I would love to make that.
I haven't looked at any online yet, but if you could make a platypus, that'd be amazing.
Yes, I definitely can. I'll look for some patterns for you.
Yes. What's like in terms of content creating, what's that journey
Mhm.
been like for you? Because I'm sure it was very different, something you never done before.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's like making sure you have the right, like materials almost, like the right lighting, the right stands, the right microphone, and just making sure your content is varied. There's a lot that goes into it, and you don't realize it until you start doing it, and you're like, shoot, like I have to spend a lot of time doing these things. Even just editing your videos takes quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
But then, after a while of like really putting a lot of time into content, then I realized, okay, well, I need to draw it back. So if I do this all the time, I'm gonna get crazy burnt out and never gonna want to post again, which is slightly where I'm at right now. But I'm not giving it up. I just wanted to take a few weeks off.
Yeah.
So I haven't been posting as much. But I found that like sometimes simple videos are better. Trying to figure out your trends is a big thing. Like what is trending right now? What can I get a decent amount of views on to like boost my views on my videos and boost my followership. I actually made one video on a whim. I borrow ideas from other creators because I feel like that's the easiest way for me to do. I can recreate anything, but getting that initial idea, I have to look to somebody else as like a model. I've always had to have that with
Yeah.
any part of my life.
Yeah.
Um, and so I use a lot of other people's as like my inspiration. So I made a video that was just talking about like so I use Instagram most. I like TikTok, but Instagram is kind of where I'm at. Um, but I just kind of recreate and like create videos myself, but use others as models. And one of them actually took off, and I gained a decent followership from that, which is great. Um, But yeah, it's definitely a process and it just takes a lot more time than you think it's going to. But like I said, I do take inspiration from other people a lot. So good or bad.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been such a fan of all of it. So you're doing a great job. Keep going. You
Thank
got
you.
this.
Thank you. I'm gonna get back to it, I promise. I just needed a few weeks to get my kids back to school.
Yes, and you said that Etsy is another big goal of yours that you want to work on more.
Yeah, I finally got my shop open. It took me like at least a good solid year to get my shop open, but I got it in right before Christmas. I had a pattern I posted around then. It was I don't know if you've heard the series Llama Llama Red Pajama. I feel like only moms and dads know the series. But anyway, so they have a llama that's in there, and so I made a pattern for that because my kids love those books.
Mm,
And I needed a place to post it because I needed to be able to sell this pattern that I spent all this time on. So I had to get my Etsy shop going. I haven't sold very much, just the pattern to a few people. So my goal this year, my goal at first was to get my followership up on Instagram, but actually I've done that. I've met my goal for the entire year, which is awesome. So now I really need to step back and focus more on my Etsy and like having people actually purchase plushies through my Etsy to get up my sales in there. Right
mm,
now I'm using PayPal, which is great, but I need people to know my Etsy is there now. Because I want to be able to post. I have two or three other patterns in my back pocket that I want to get up there. But I got to get people to that site to actually buy them. So that's my goal is to get that Etsy really up and going because it's accessible, but not a lot of traffic to it right now. And I haven't spent a lot of time really trying to get it to go there. So that's my other goal.
yeah. And it'd be cool for you to have like a bunch of stuff already stocked up and people can just
Hmm.
order what you have on your website and then boom, send it out, send it out. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see it happening. It's cool.
I also want to do more vendor fairs too, though, because I like actual interactions with people. So my goal is to sell more at vendor fairs, but make enough patterns that I can keep my Etsy going. So that's my goal. We'll
Yeah.
see if I can make it there this year.
Yeah. Any pop-up events? Have you ever done any of those or would you be into that?
Yeah, I did. Well, I mean, I've done like vendor fairs. I did a
Mhm.
couple this past December. That's usually I've done three and I've done them all in December. So I haven't done any throughout the year. I think the biggest thing is I didn't necessarily want to purchase a booth because I didn't feel like I'd make that money back.
Got it.
That's the biggest thing when you're a vendor is you have to spend the money on the booth space, which can be
Mm,
up from $100 to $200. And if you don't sell that amount of product, then it's like, why did I do this? So I
right.
never wanted that to be the case. But because coming year, I do want to try a few more vendor fairs or pop-ups and see if anything happens with that. Because I really do enjoy meeting people. That's like my biggest thing is I just love the interaction with people. So selling online is great, but I'd rather sell in person personally.
Yes, yes. I also wanted to ask you, I could tell you love to keep busy, just like me. I've always loved to be busy since I was a teenager. How do you balance everyone always asks me to, how do you balance everything? I'm like, well, you just kind of do. You just keep going and then before you even realize that you've done it all already. So I know you have your crochet, you love to sing, you're a mom. Have you always loved to keep yourself busy and how do you balance everything yourself?
Yeah, it's a very difficult concept. I actually also math tutor too now.
Oh my God.
Um, but like it's like you said, I have to be busy. Like I'm not technically working anymore. I don't go into a job every day, and without doing anything, I would feel like I'm doing nothing. So
Right.
some people just love to be busy, and that's just how they like to do their life. Other people like to take it slower, which I totally understand as well. I think that the whole balance thing, it's difficult. I tend to like to do more things like I don't know. I like to multitask. So, when I'm doing something, I'm also doing something else always. Like even when I'm relaxing on the couch watching a movie, I'm still like editing something or like writing a part of my pattern or I don't even know. I feel like just multitasking is big and you have to know how to multitask in order to be busy, really. Um, I also get bored very easily. So like I have to flit between project to project. So I'm not the type of person that like starts a project and just finishes it. I have to start it and then go do something else and then come back to it and then go do something else and then go back
Got
to
it.
it. So I'll have like in my crochet business, I have like five orders going on at once. Not right now, but on a busy season. And I just work bits of each one at a time. And that's why it takes me a while. And I feel so bad for a couple of people because their order took me so much longer than I thought because I tend to start it and then need a break. So I go do something else. And then, so that's my downfall, I feel like, is that I can't just start something and finish it in the same sitting. I have to get up, do something else, go do laundry, go grab this, go do that, clean that. Oh, I need to go back to it. It's also being a mom. You get used to that because that's all you do being a mom. But definitely if you want to try to stay busy, you have to learn how to multitask.
Yes, yeah. Ever since I was a kid, I remember I was like, I want to do everything. I want to be in every sport, every club, every AP class. And even as an
hmm
adult, yeah, I want to do the podcast. I want to sing. I want to go to school. I want to
hmm
work. And even on my days off, like if my days off is the weekend, so once I see it coming up, I'm like, let me fill up Saturday and Sunday. Let me see what I'm going to do. If I'm going to study, am I going to do homework? Am I going to clean? Am I going to hang out with family?
hmm
It's, I don't know. I can't be sit still and just be like, okay, what do I do? Just sit
Yep.
here and relax? What is that?
I know if our calendar is ever blank, I usually try to schedule a trip out to like an amusement park. We're like, if there's ever a day that we can go, we're gonna go to the zoo or SeaWorld or, Wild Animal Park or whatever is in San Diego. So yeah, I don't love to be idle. It's just not my jam. I always have to be doing a few things and I like to be out. I'm not a super homebody, which is interesting. I don't actually love being home. I like being out. So it's, weird that I'm a stay-at-home mom because I don't love it, but I do it because, it's nice to be with my kids. But we all actually enjoy, other than my husband, we all actually enjoy being out and doing stuff.
Yes, I gotta make a trip down there to go. I love that zoo so much. I'd love to go down
hmm
there and meet up and say hi.
That'd be great. Yeah, we have passes, so anytime you want to go, just come on down because
Yeah,
we'd love to see you.
it's the best zoo, and
hmm
hippos are my favorite. And very few zoos nowadays have hippos, and I love
Really?
that zoo so much. And the pandas and the koalas. Oh my God.
hmm they opened up unless you're down here, you might not know. They opened up what's called like an explorer base camp. It's geared towards children, but like I love it, like the exhibits they have down there. It's like all bugs and birds and Komodo dragons, and it's just really cool now. You have to come see it because it's super interactive, and my kids just love it. It's wonderful.
Yes. I know. I want to go maybe in the summer or something. Yeah, I do want to
hmm
go down to. Last time I've been to San Diego was 2019. I auditioned for American
Oh,
Idol, and it was at Tuna Harbor Park or something like that.
yeah. Okay, I remember that.
It was there, and I was out in the sun for 8 hours, and it was not fun.
Yeah, don't come and do it. You can come and see us.
I'd love to. I love to. Yeah, I really want to go down. Gabe, he met up with you guys, right? He told me about it.
Yeah, yeah, I had dinner with him one night and his friend. It was good to see him again, just see what they're up to and how he's doing life is just crazy and like he's super busy too and I
He's
don't know how they
always
do it.
traveling. He's always in a
I
different
know.
state. He's always working. He's always doing videos. I'm like, oh my God, Gabe, you're
hmm
insane.
He may not have time for a personal life, honestly.
Yes. And he said he's giving you some advice too, like on your content
hmm
creating as well.
Yeah, because I met him, gosh, last year sometime. So I had like kind of just started to post stuff and I'm like, do you have any tips for me? Because obviously your followership is huge, like he's blown up. And yeah, he gave me a few tips and pointers and stuff, which I've definitely used. And I appreciate that a lot because he's in a different generation than I'm not a lot older than you guys, but like different generation. So you guys know a lot more about content creating and online presence than we do because, we're still fairly new.
Yeah. I mean, even for me, like I do it because I have to do it, but I'm not
hmm
the biggest fan either. I always say like if I wasn't a content creator, I wouldn't really have any social media because I only see it as like a
hmm
promotional tool. I
hmm
usually go and post what I gotta post and then I kind of skedaddle.
hmm
Because I don't know, I don't care about a lot of stuff on there. I'm more present. I
hmm
love to be with friends and family, and the
hmm
people who want to get in contact with me have my number.
hmm
So I only care about social media for promotional purposes. That's how I've always thought of it. So because I have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that if it weren't for like the crochet business, my online presence would be hardly anything. But I kind of was forced to, not forced to, but I chose to for that purpose. Because I don't really like on my crochet account, I don't post my kids' faces because I don't feel right about that. No one needs to
Right.
see my kids' faces other than people who actually know me. But like my family lives far away, so I'll post like some things that
Yeah.
we do, fun things on my own personal account. And then, my crochet account's a whole separate thing. I am on there, but none of my family is on there. So, and I'm okay with
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Same. I'm very private about a lot of things too.
Hmm.
Yeah. I've never talked about like relationships or who I'm seeing or even my siblings a lot. I don't know, just because I don't want it to be all out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that.
I don't want to take too much of your time. It's very late.
It's
Um,
fine.
before we wrap up, do you have a question for me that you want to ask me before we finish up?
Um, well, let's see. I mean, I know you kind of told me how your life's going.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself after college?
I work for my dad's business. I've worked in the
Mhm.
office for 7 years now. And I love it. Like I love that job and I see myself there for a long time. I do payroll, I do invoicing, I answer phone calls, dispatching. It's a really cool job and I really do like it. And it's been very beneficial for me throughout the years. I have my own apartment now, I have my own car, so I'm very different than most students because a lot of the students I go to school with, like they live on campus, they have dorms, they all they do is school. And I'm always back and forth. They're like, "What are you doing after this?" Like, I'm gonna go to work, and then I'm gonna come back later for my class. I'm gonna come back.
Mhm.
So I had to find that balance really quickly.
Mhm.
So again, to the busy thing, I've always been very busy from morning to night, and I love it.
Mhm.
For now, this is more like a meaningful life goal of mine to have a music degree.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people that have doubted me since I was very young, and I'm very close to actually like doing it and making
Mhm.
myself proud. And I've learned so much. Um, so yeah, this is more of a me thing. I really want my music degree just to have, and
Mhm.
to fall back on maybe in the near future. I can use it, and I'm doing it
Mhm.
more for the experience and for the knowledge because, again, I didn't have a lot of opportunities to take vocal lessons or to take any
Mhm.
classes in general. So I
Mhm.
took music theory one, two, and three. Like music theory is so difficult and it's so hard. I'm so happy I'm done with it. But for
Congrats
the
to you. Those classes are very difficult.
there were requirements too, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do it. But I took all three and I passed all three.
Congrats.
Yeah, have I memorized the circle of fifths yet? No. Do I know my order of sharps and flats for the most part? More or less I know where the notes are and I can write. But I don't have to do that anymore, which I'm happy about. I'm just more
Mhm.
excited to sing with others, to do choir. And a lot of it is very lecture based, like music
Mhm.
history,
Mhm.
writing about music. We're like writing papers about pitch and sound,
Mhm.
and it's everything music related. It's not just performing,
Mhm.
which performing is my favorite part, but there's so much more to it. You
Mhm.
can get a music degree and not even learn how to play an instrument because you can just focus on production or you can just focus on history.
Mhm.
So there's many different aspects to it. So I'm just soaking everything up like a sponge and meeting so many incredible classmates and teachers. There's so much talent in the world, and it makes me sad because not a lot of people will ever get to like hear them, and they kind of go unknown. But there's so much talent. People are so gifted. Um, yeah, so I'll get my degree next year. I'll still work. I don't know about the next couple years. I don't know. But I will say I turned 25 and a lot of things went into perspective. I feel like a full adult now. I don't really feel like in my late teens, in my early 20s. I'm kind of like I feel like an adult now. So
Mhm.
whatever that means. I have more back pain, more neck pain.
Welcome to the club.
And my sisters are older too. My sister Samira, she's a senior now at North County, so she graduates this year. Aaliyah will go to middle school. So everyone's getting older. My parents, they're close to turning 50. So it's like a
Mhm.
weird time. I don't know how to feel about it, but just going with the flow.
You feel good about it. It's fun to, I mean, that I would say between like 25 and 30 is probably the funnest part of your life because you're like an adult. So you do adult things and you have an adult life, but maybe you're not like settled and have kids quite yet, or married even. Some people aren't married when they turn 30. But it's I would say that's like a peak part of your life. I would say that's like where you find you and you figure out what kind of person you are gonna be as an adult.
Yes, and I'm more secure every year that I get older, I feel more confident and secure of myself, and I stop caring about what people have to say or what people think.
Hmm.
I just get more sure of myself and I love myself even more. And whatever like weight I'm in, whatever I want to wear, whatever I want to dress, whatever I want to do, I'm just more sure of myself, which I love. As a kid, I was so
Hmm.
like I don't even recognize him anymore. Now I'm like, I don't know, just so much more confident, which I love.
That confidence is key, and that's totally like just growing up, but I love that you came into that. That's awesome.
Yes. So, yeah, thank you so much for coming on once again.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks for inviting me.
and I'm sorry it's so late, but I'm so glad that
You're-
you were able to make time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. Love it.
And I'm so excited about your crochet business. I'm so excited for you and for your kids. And I love that we keep in touch. And I'm always here if you ever need anything. So thank you.
Yeah, vice versa. And we're always here. So if you want to visit San Diego, we're still here.
Yes, I'd love to. Before we finish, let's take a picture.
Yeah.
If I remember how to do this. Yes, I do. Okay, ready?
Yep.
One, two. Okay, got it.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. It was good to talk to you for a little while.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.